Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to Match Day 3 preview. The Premier League is back again. The last time out, we had 44 goals. So anything like that again, it's definitely a weekend to look forward to. And I have Charlie with me from Hammers Chat. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. A bit nervous for the weekend's football, but apart from that, I'm hyped because there's some good matches this weekend as well.
Yeah, of course, where can they follow you on Twitter and all that?
You can follow me at atoplad, and then you can find all my football stuff. Hammers_chat. We're a West Ham channel. Come check us out if you want to see people be very sad about football all the time.
That's what you said last week, and you ended up scoring. I told you and Tom, by the way, it's buddies with Tom who I had last week in the preview, and you're telling me that Antonio couldn't score, and I told you guys that he'll score. So
I mean, like, you know, once you say those things, they're bound to happen at that point. So
yeah, true. So another 10 games this weekend. I don't know which one you're looking forward to. Cannon Fodder, hi man, thanks for being here. Good content you're doing over on your side. So which game are you looking forward to most this weekend?
Outside the West Ham match, it is the Arsenal-Liverpool game. It's two super interesting teams. Obviously, Liverpool at the height of their powers and Arsenal sort of building something. They remind me a bit of Man United a couple of years ago when you were like, hang on, there's one or two players there where they're good. You just need to sort of build off them. And so that's an exciting thing, exciting managers. And that's probably the big one outside the West Ham match for me.
Yeah, and just before you go to the games, what did you think about Arsenal West Ham last week and your midweek game in the Carabao Cup?
Yeah, the Arsenal game was frustrating because I felt like we were so close. Like I felt like if David Moyes had been a bit more adventurous, then I don't mind losing if we go for it. Like if we go for the win and we lose, it is what it is. But I felt like David Moyes, there was an opportunity to go for it, and he decided to sort of we're taking a draw here, and then Nketiah scored late on, and it was what it was. So that was frustrating. The midweek game for us in the Carabao Cup was really good. Very weird because obviously we had some health issues due to the global pandemic and whatnot. Where we've lost two of our players and the manager due to the pandemic. And so it was sort of mixed emotions because the performance was very good. It was very accomplished. It was only League One side, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And I felt like we did that very well. But one or two sort of injuries, if you want to put it in that sense, to people who I didn't personally want to lose is never a good thing. But ultimately, I think it's a good thing. And we're trying to at least a bit of confidence going into what's going to be a very difficult game this week.
Sure. Which game are you playing next week in the Carabao Cup?
Next week we have Everton away, which is
away. Oh, that's a good fixture.
I mean, good for Everton, perhaps. Good for Everton, perhaps. It's going to be a difficult one, but you know, you never know. You never know. Magic of the cup.
Second team against second team. I actually fancy you guys because the second team doesn't look that good.
That's a fair point. That's actually a fair point. I hadn't thought about it in those terms. We do. I mean, our second string lineup that we played against Hull, for example, has Sebastian Haller, Felipe Anderson, and Andrei Yarmolenko up front, which is combined over 100 mil. That's actually quite a fair point. I'm still just scared because they've just got so many good players at the moment, Everton.
And so let's start with the fixtures. I'm going to start with the York, of course, because you're West Ham fans. So West Ham Wolves, what are your expectations for this game?
I'm expecting a battering. I think Wolves are so good for so many reasons. They've got so many good players. They've got a great manager, and their system is set up for that manager to succeed. All of the players are bought for that manager's system. Everything's there. It just works really well. We tend to, as a club, struggle against teams who sit deep and defend. And Wolves sit deep, defend, and then hit you so fast and so well that you don't know what's going on. And that concerns me in this game a lot. I think Wolves are, I just think too good for us, if I'm being honest. It's a shame because they obviously have come up since we've been in the Premier League for years and have surpassed us like instantaneously. But I do think they just have too much, especially in attacking areas with people like Adama Traore, who are going to absolutely have a field day against whoever's playing whatever fullback he decides to go up against. I'm quite scared for this one, I can't lie.
I saw an interesting fact that the last 2 seasons they've done a double twice against you. I think 3-0, 2-0, 1-0, 1-0. You haven't even scored against them.
Yeah, it's been a rough old time. We don't deal well with pacey wingers, and that's like their entire thing, and they're very, very adept at doing that. So, well, what can you do? Just I think we'll rock up and do the exact same thing we did against you guys, which was basically defend first, try and be compact and structured, and then hit on the counter. But we'll see how that works. I
always see you guys doing well against Chelsea at home, Arsenal at home, United at home. So you'd expect the same with Wolves. They're also like a top 8 team. And you always like do well against those teams apart from City and those. But the other teams, you actually do well. I remember you beating United like twice the last 3 seasons, Chelsea the same.
Yeah, no, so, you're not wrong. We do tend to play better against the big teams, which is really frustrating because that's like 6 games, and then there's the other 14 where we do horrendous. But we do tend to do better, and in that sense, that might play into our hands. Well, one would hope.
So, what is your prediction for this game? I'm going to go for West Ham to collect their first points of the season. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. How about you?
I think you're being kind because I'm here and I appreciate that.
I actually fancy a 1-1 draw.
Okay. I can't see past 3-1 Wolves, I think. I back us to potentially score, hopefully. And if we score first, then that's great for us because we do tend to do a hell of a lot better when we get that first goal. We can sit back and then teams have to come at us, and that helps us. But if Wolves score first, I think it's dead and buried. I'm going to say 3-1 Wolves, and hope to God that you're right.
I think this is your easiest fixture amongst the ones that are actually coming. This is one of the easier ones because you have the likes of City and all those Liverpools, and this is one of the easier ones. But
the run is horrendous. I think it's this one and Leicester. Leicester's the one I said on our channel. I was like, I think we're going to pick up points somewhere, and I think Leicester's the one. Because they do play more attacking football. They are a bit more open and expansive. That should allow us to have a little bit more space. But it's either this or Leicester. Let's be real. It's either this or Leicester.
So 3-1 rules. Okay, I'm going for 1-1. So the first game of the weekend is Brighton against United. Surprise result last week for United. And also Brighton, I didn't expect them to win 3-0 to Newcastle, another team you faced this season. I didn't expect them to win 3-0. So what are your expectations for this game? United to bounce back immediately?
I think they kind of have to. And I think Brighton's is the right team to face for that sort of thing. I actually quite like Brighton. I like their manager. I like quite a few of their players. Annoyingly, they've got rid of my favourite player, Glenn Murray, who's just my favourite player because he's a beautiful man, and I won't hear anyone else say any different. But when it comes to the rest of their team, I think they've actually got some decent players in who are sort of underrated, and they've done decent business in the window. Not incredible, but decent. But like you say, I think Man United have to bounce back. They obviously had the result against Palace, which didn't go their way. But when Donny van de Beek came on, he looked very good. And they're starting to build a team who a lot of people will fear. That midfield with Van de Beek, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes is like, oh, okay, you're starting to build something here. If they can regain that form from last season, I think from specifically like the second half of last season, they're going to look very good. So they've got to bounce back for me. They just have to.
Yeah, there's this player at Brighton, former Chelsea player, Lamptey. Would you take him at West Ham? Because I've been seeing you guys crying over Cresswell, Fredericks, all those fullbacks. Would you take him?
In an instant, yes. He was super impressive in his last game.
Yes,
and it's the sort of transfer I wish we would do. Looking at someone like that and finding the untapped potential of someone like that, as opposed to looking at the like Fredericks, for example, who was sort of at his peak, arguably, when we got him for free from the Championship. So I think they've got a really good player there. I think we'll see over time potentially some issues here and there with form or whatever, as you always do with youth players. But when you see him at his peak performances, you say, okay, if you persevere with that, could be a really great player, and I would die for it. I would be super up for it.
Yeah, and United, do you expect them to still finish in the top 4 this season?
It's going to be tight, but I do think they will. I think they've just got some absolutely world-class game-changing players. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer allows them to play. He doesn't restrict them at all. He goes, go out and do your thing. So I think it will be tight, but I do think they'll make it, yeah.
Hopefully not, for our sake. Hopefully not.
Of course, yeah.
Prediction for the game?
I'm going to say 2-1 Manchester United.
I'm going to go for Brighton 2, Man U 3. Last time out, they actually beat them 3-0 around July after lockdown. So I think they'll get the win. And they'll also get a penalty again. So the third game is going to be Crystal Palace against Everton. Now, Crystal Palace, 2 wins out of 2, competing for the league already. How do you feel about this? Everton, 2 wins out of 2, both of them doing really good.
Yeah, and both of them doing, I think, really good movements in the transfer market as well. They both sort of looked at what they needed to strengthen and have gone full force for it in the ways that they can. Palace have obviously signed Batshuayi on loan from Chelsea, who I think I rate higher than most people. And unfortunately for them, it's only on loan. But if they can get him scoring, that will solve one of their bigger issues. And they've signed Eze from QPR, who West Ham really wanted. Who is a really, really super talented player. And again, if it's a similar situation to the Lamptey thing, where it's like he's going to have dips and drops in form here and there, but if they persevere, they've got someone really special there. And like say, conversely, Everton have done great business. I mean, they've spent a lot of money because they can, but when you look at the names they've brought in Alan and James and Decore and Kuku, I mean, they've just done really good business, Everton. And I think they're a team who are only on the up because they do have a legitimately world-class manager. Like Ancelotti is, before he went to Everton, I would have said he was in the top 5 managers in the world for me. So it's kind of insane to me that Everton have him. I think they're only going up.
You also have Moyes, Charlie. You also have Moyes, one of the most experienced Premier League managers. It's not actually a joke. Like, he's up there with the most managed games in the Premier League. So yeah, you should be happy to, but yeah, Ancelotti, I know what you mean. So Crystal Palace, are they going to drop? Or are they going to finish in the top 10?
Top 10's difficult for them because it is getting so competitive. There's so many good teams like Wolves coming through and people like that it makes it more difficult. So I don't think they're going to make top 10. But I think they'll be safe as houses. I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're anywhere near the drop zone. When I say don't make top 10, I mean they'll finish 12th or something like that.
So if you're asked, like, pick one player from Crystal Palace to take to West Ham and one player from Everton, which ones would you pick?
It's a great question. Everton would be Luca Digne. The left back, I think he's brilliant. I legitimately think he's probably the best left back outside the top 6. He's just so good, so good. And we, as you know, we need a left back. And then from Palace, I would probably pick. That's a good question. James Tompkins for the nostalgia factor. Why not? Get him back at West Ham. Get him in. Will he play? Don't know. Don't care. Just get him back. Let's have some fun. James Tompkins. Why not?
I love Tompkins when it comes to attacking corners and free kicks. He is very, very good. So him and Soucek could actually help you. So prediction?
That's a good point. I think it will be lower scoring than usual. I think 1-0 Everton.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. 7 points for each. Undefeated for both. 1-1 draw. The next one is West Brom against Chelsea. Chelsea lost to Liverpool, 1 win out of 2, and West Brom 2 losses out of 2. So another loss for West Brom.
You would suspect so. This is one of the other ones I'm really excited for this weekend. Chelsea have obviously gone completely and utterly insane in the market. They've decided to just buy every player, it feels like. And at the same time, West Brom, a club I don't have too much of an affinity for, but Slaven Bilic I obviously do. And there's a couple of players for West Brom I do think are legitimately very, very good. They're a difficult team to judge because Slaven Bilic doesn't hold back. He does just let the players play and say, go for it. We're going for the win no matter who it is. I remember when he was our manager, we were taking it to teams like we beat you guys on the first day of the season. We beat Chelsea, we beat Manchester City, we beat Liverpool. Like we were really gunning for teams like that. And I think what interests me is to see how he does approach it with a team who has slightly less ability across the board. Like we had quite a decent team. We had Payet and other people like that. Whereas obviously West Brom don't. I think their key players are former West Ham, Grady and Garner and Pereira, who are both really, really good. So can they get those in and around the area doing what they want against Chelsea? I suspect they probably will, but I don't think it will be enough because Chelsea have been, at least since Lampard got in, much better than I thought they'd be.
Thank you for bringing up that West Ham wins against Arsenal and all that. And that's the day you had Moses, right? Victor Moses.
Oh well, yeah, we did have Victor Moses. Yeah.
I think he scored at Etihad or something. He had a great team. Yeah,
he did.
But West Brom, I think they'll struggle. Apart from Diangana, someone you'd recognize, Charlie. Diangana. Yes. They have Diangana and Pereira. Apart from that, I don't think they're strong enough defensively and attacking wise. It's not like the old West Brom where you'd had like Johnny Evans and those defenders and just defending for 90 minutes and Tony Pulis. If they go attack against Chelsea, they lose. So have you been impressed with the Chelsea signing so far?
I have. I don't understand fully how it's happening, but it is. I think they they didn't have they had the transfer ban last year, so they couldn't buy anyone, and then they sold Hazard for 200 mil. So I guess the money is there, but they sort of have just gone. It's like FIFA. They've just gone around and bought all of the Ziyech, get him. Werner, get him. I think they've bought incredibly. Now it's about judging whether Frank Lampard is a good enough manager to really gel those together. That's his big challenge now, is to get all of these players in the team and playing together. But if they do, that's a scary team. That's a scary team.
Okay. Yeah, I always wonder how they manage to get all those players. Why can't Arsenal go and buy those players? Why can't West Ham do an Everton and go and buy those players? Because I don't think it's a factor of I don't want to join West Ham, I want to go to Everton, I don't want to go to Chelsea, I want to go to Arsenal. I don't see why. Is it because they just have a good owner and we don't, both of us?
Potentially. I mean, we do both have that problem, don't we? I think they're also just out here willing to spend the money it takes. Like a lot of their deals haven't, like we're both used to seeing a transfer deal, like for us, Tarkovsky, or for you, say, I don't know, Pepe went on quite long last season. They're ones where they protract over long periods and there's lots of talks and back and forth, whatever. Chelsea seem to be interested. Tierney, that's a great one as well, yeah. Like Chelsea seemed to be interested in Werner one day and the next day he was holding the shirt. Like Ziyech, same thing. They signed before the window even opened. Like they've clearly decided that this is the season they're going to invest heavily. And I think with the global situation that's going on, there's lots of people who need money. And I think they've just gone, well, we have the money because of Hazard and because we didn't spend anything. Let's go and buy it. Like the only one that's really protracted for them is the Havertz deal. And even that, they got over the line and spent big. They did what it takes. And I think that's the difference between, say, Chelsea and yourselves, is they are out here willing to spend that money, whereas I feel like Arsenal were always trying to penny pinch that little bit just to save that bit of money. Whereas if you spend 5 million more, you get the deal done like that sort of thing.
Yeah. So prediction for the game?
As much as I love Slaven Village, it's not happening for them. I think it's Chelsea 3-0 probably.
I'm going to go for goals. West Brom 2, Chelsea 4. I can only see a big win now. Speaking of goals, this next game, I'm not quite expecting goals. Burnley against Southampton. What do you feel about this one?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Be you expecting goals?
Goals, mate. Burnley, of course. I think Southampton are quietly building something quite good. I think I like their manager a lot, Hassan Hüttl. I think he was a really good signing for them. He was smart. It was a risk, but a calculated one, and it's paid off. Equally, I really like Sean Dyche. I know he's a boring manager, as it were, but I do really like him and rate him. It's going to be interesting because again, it's the same thing I was talking about with our game. It's two counter-attacking teams going at it, and I feel like I don't know if Southampton have quite made the signings they need to yet to step up a gear. I don't think Burnley have either, but Burnley sort of never do, and yet they still sort of remain consistent, and they've not really lost anyone, whereas Southampton obviously lost Højbjerg and stuff like that. So it interests, like the football person in me is like, oh, let's watch this ball 0-0 draw, really try to analyze every tactical move or whatever. But the spectacle fan inside me is like, there's zero chance of me watching this one. But I don't think there's going to be many goals. I was joking. I do think it's going to be.
It's actually a late night kickoff. Like I think 8 p.m. UK time. So I don't know why they put that there. They should put a more interesting game. So they both have good strikers, Wood and Ings. Another question, which one would you take between those two at West Ham? Which one would you pick, Wood and Ings?
Danny Ings. One of the other people at Ham's Chat, Gio, is obsessed with Danny Ings, and I feel like if I didn't say that, he might kill me. I really like Chris Wood. I think he's very accomplished, but he is also very, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but he is what he is. And I think, to be fair, we already have a version of that in Sebastian Haller, who is better. But Danny Ings is great. He's got the pace, he's got the movement, and as long as he stays injury-free, I think he's excellent, to be fair.
Yeah, prediction? Southampton have lost both games, and Burnley, I think they've played once and lost. So
yeah, that sounds right. I was going to say 1-0 Southampton. I think I don't think it's going to be, like you say, high scoring in any way, shape, or form. When you said goalless, I was like, maybe. But I'll give Danny Ings the goal. Go on, Danny Ings is getting it. 1-0 Southampton.
I'm going to give them both a goal. 1-1 Wood and Ings to score. So 1-1. Now, there's one team that is not struggling for goals. They've actually broken the record, I think, for the first 2 games. Leeds games have involved 14 goals. That's the most any team has ever had in their first 2 games in the Premier League. Yeah. So Sheffield against Leeds. Sheffield, good season last season, but seem to be struggling this season.
Yeah, second season syndrome, I think, for a bit for them. 2 very interesting teams tactically. You've obviously got Chris Wilder at Sheffield United, who has the sort of overlapping centre-backs and all of that sort of stuff going on, which is super interesting from a football perspective. And then you also have Leeds, who have Marcelo Bielsa, who is one of the most influential managers in world football for the last 20 years. I mean, you speak about any of the top managers, really, they'll speak about him in glowing terms. And he has that Leeds team, like you say, absolutely purring. They are getting goals for fun. They're also conceding goals for fun as well, but sometimes you need that. I mean, like, to be back to West Ham again, that great season under Bilic, the last at Upton Park, we were conceding 2 goals every game, but we were scoring 3 or 4. And that's obviously a problem in the long term, but in the short term, it's hella fun. And I think it's going to be a big ride. This one's interesting. I want to see who gets the better of them. But I think on the balance, probably Leeds, but it's really interesting match of this one.
Is it a good idea? It's fun for us to watch, but is it a good idea, like when you're newly promoted and you just go like score with score? You're going to get hammered by most of the teams. So isn't it like safe to like just defend in some games and like try and get a 0-0 and try and survive? Because I'm not sure how many times they'll be able to score 3 goals in every single game. Yeah,
they won't. That's very true. I mean, Patrick Bamford's putting him in. I don't know where he's turned into a good striker from. When he was at Chelsea, he looked terrible, and then all of a sudden he's great. But I do think it's risk reward. I think if you do go for it and you do step to it, I think some teams will you will crumble against some teams. But at the same time, we do see teams come up who try to just defend and lampily go back out of the league again with no real zeal or no real zealous. So I think it's a 50-50 thing. I do think you're safer to defend. I do. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that to Marcelo Bielsa's face because he's a scary man.
Prediction?
Leeds 3-2.
Wow. This is a hard one. I'm actually going to go for a 2-2, another draw. Now, interestingly, we haven't had any draws so far in the Premier League. So this could be the second one of the weekend. And the next game, people in the chat will not like you if you go for a win for them. So Tottenham, Newcastle. Yourself, you're not supposed to predict a Tottenham win, being a West Ham fan. So how do you see this game? Last time out, Son and Kane were incredible, to be fair. So do you expect a repeat of that? Bale about to come back to the squad?
Okay. I can't see past Tottenham for this one, unfortunately. I think it all depends on how good Newcastle are. I will say that. I think Tottenham are going to come out and play exactly how we know Tottenham will play. Not that Newcastle won't, but we can sort of think about exactly how Jose Mourinho sets up his side. And like you say, their front line is just scary. It genuinely is. But Newcastle are capable of pulling off results like that. I mean, against us, they were great, but that's not difficult. But then you look at last season, how high up Steve Bruce managed to get them. That was a legit achievement. Like, he really did pull that team together. And I think they overperformed last season. Yet this summer, they've gone and they've signed they've made 4 good signings for me. They've made Jamal Lewis at left back. They've made Callum Wilson up front. They've played Ryan Fraser on the wing, and underrated signing who most people don't pick up on because he was a free transfer from Burnley, but Jeff Hendrick is very good as well. They've got a functional team there, a functional team which could, on their day, take Tottenham. I don't think they will, but they could if they step it up. They can if they step it up.
At Tottenham away, though, I've never seen Newcastle as a team that does well away from home, apart from the first game of the season.
Apart from that's going to happen many more times this season. I do agree with you. I don't think it is going to happen, but I feel like I can't decide which way Newcastle are going to go this year, because I did think they overperformed last year. I did think Steve Bruce had got them overperforming, and so I felt like this season they were going to be significantly worse. But then they did make some good signings. If you have a situation where Tottenham are trying to get the win, pushing for the win, and Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser up front, for example, they can hit them on the break with pace, and it's not going to be pretty for Tottenham. Again, I really don't. Tottenham 2-0. I can't see it happening, but I think the potential is there. The potential is there.
I hate to say it, but I agree. And I think Newcastle will score, though. Wilson, Carroll, they'll get a chance here and there. So 2-1 to Tottenham. The next one is Man City, Leicester. Man City are really, really quite good. Although in the second half against Wolves, they almost considered like 4 goals. But De Bruyne, the way he plays, one of the best players in the Premier League right now, probably the best. How do you feel about this game? Leicester lost the other day 2-0 in the Carabao Cup.
Leicester are another one. I can't quite decide which way they're going to go this year. They obviously have a good team. They have a manager who's going to go for it. They just signed Under from Roma, who I really like. So they've got something going, but I can never decide which way Brendan Rodgers is fully going to go. I think it's potentially the right time to face Manchester City. I will say that. They've not. I don't feel like they've fully got into their Manchester City Pep dominance yet this season. I don't think they're fully at the races. They've obviously got some. They beat, like you say, Wolves, but had a couple of problems. But I don't know whether or not. There's never a good time to face Manchester City, but you could maybe argue that this is the time to do it. It's going to be a tough one, and I can't quite right now. I can't decide which way I'm going to go. When you ask me for my prediction, I'm just going to have to say it on the spot.
For City, there's never a good time to face them. You can ask Arsenal. We tried the last 3 years alone. We tried facing them at the start of the season, first game of the season. Oh, they're not ready. Let's play them. Got whipped at home. We tried playing them Boxing Day. Oh, their minds are on holiday, Christmas. What? They still whipped us. We tried playing them after Corona, after the lockdown. They might not be fit. They still beat us. So there's never a good time to play City. Prediction for this game, I'll go fast. I'm going to go for 4-1 City. I think they're going to hammer them.
I can see it. I'm going to go for my first draw. I'm going to say 2-2. I'm going to give it to Leicester. I'm going to say 2-2. I think I'm wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway. 2-2.
2-2. That will make one team very, very happy.
Yes.
Klopp's team facing Arsenal on Monday. What do you expect in this game? Another Liverpool win?
So I really like Mikel Arteta. I really do, and I think he's the right manager at the right time for Arsenal. I think he's building something here, and I think it's gonna in a year or two we're going to be looking at a really dangerous team. But I was shocked at the performance against. Us. To be honest, I felt as if you had lost it a bit. You didn't know where you were going. It felt a bit lifeless at times. I expected subs at halftime from Arteta to really go, okay, the first half wasn't working. And he stuck to his guns, which is fair enough, but it didn't quite work. And if you do that against, I said this on a different channel when I said this on Arsenal Fan Circle, but if you did that against a better team, I think you would have been punished. Liverpool, a little bit better than us, maybe a bit. And that's my concern. But I do think it's a learning curve with Arteta. In the same way a youth player comes in and makes mistakes, a young manager is going to come in and make mistakes, but you persevere to get the greatness out of it. No one starts great; they grow into greatness. So it's really interesting to me, and I honestly can't tell which way it's going to go at this point. My gut says potentially Liverpool, but I honestly can't tell.
Now, I can't blame you, but going to Anfield, it's a scary prospect for us, especially twice next week. I think from the last 5 games since Klopp came to Liverpool, I think since like 2015, the first game at Anfield was in 2016 after Klopp, we've considered like 22 goals in like 5 games against them, like 24, something crazy like that. 5-1s, 4-0s, 3-0s. Again, just like Man City at the start of the season, at the end of the season, it doesn't matter. But we have 2 wins against them the last 2 games in the Community Shield and in the league. But they say that they had already won the title and the Community Shield is not really a cup. So prediction for this one?
We're going to go with 3-2 Liverpool. And I think it's going to be, when I say that, I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be a genuine battle. I think you're gonna come away with it with the loss, but you're going to be like, do you know what? We put everything in there. That's not an embarrassing defeat whatsoever.
Yeah, 3-2 is a good score. I think I'll take that. But you know what? I'm going bold.
Yes.
3-2 Arsenal. 3-2 Arsenal.
Yes. There we go.
First win at Anfield since like 2013 or 2012, something like that. It's been years. We struggle against these top teams. I can remember West Ham winning at Anfield, I think, when you had Sacco. I can remember you guys winning at City. We never do that. But let's wait and see. The next one, Fulham against Aston Villa. More goals?
Probably not. I want to like Fulham. I really do. I like that. Obviously, I've got an affinity for Scott Parker, who's their manager currently, and I think they've got a lot of decent players. Like they've not got a bad squad of people, but they've got specific holes in specific areas. It doesn't quite feel like they ever. I just don't know. Like they sign Areola and they sign Tete and they sign they have Mitrovic and they sign Lamine. Like they make all of these decent signings, but they just never seem to fully put it together.
I remember the first season they came 2017 or 2018. They signed Charles, Babel, so many experienced players, but nothing ever changes. Yeah,
and I don't want to say this because I love Scott Parker, but I do think they're going straight back down, unfortunately. And I think this is one of the games where if they want to stay up, this has to be a game they get points in. This is huge.
This has to be a win, yeah.
But having said that, I mean, you look at Villa. They had losing Pepe Reina. They had a big problem in goal. They've gone and solved that by signing Martinez, who I think is a great signing for them. They have problems up front, and so they went and signed Watkins and Traore. They had problems at fullback, so they signed Matty Cash. I mean, they're another team who have, again, spent big. They've looked at what they needed, and they've gone, okay, we're going to go and get that. We're going to go and do those signings. And so I suspect this is a big season for them, because if they can stay up, if Villa can stay up, then they're on to building a decent Premier League side, I feel. It's going to be a tight one, though. It's going to be a tight one, but I do think Fulham are going straight back down, and I do think Fulham are probably going to lose here.
Yeah, did you expect Grealish to sign a new contract?
Before, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I do think he is good enough to play for a bigger team, certainly. But I think for me, I look at him and I think he needs a move between Villa and, say, a top 6 club, for example, yourselves or a Tottenham or someone like Chelsea, whoever, right? I do think he needs a move in between there. Everton was the one I always had in my mind. I looked at him and I thought, Everton. But if I don't rate him as highly as everyone else. That's not to say he's bad by any stretch of imagination. Obviously, if he was rocking up at West Ham, yes. But yeah, I'm a bit shocked that someone didn't take the punt on him. If they got relegated, they would have. I think it would have been a case where he's too good a deal not to. But perhaps that Premier League safety just means they can really offer him that money to stay and keep him for at least 2-3 more years.
Yeah. Prediction?
1-1.
Mitrovic, would you like if you're offered 22 million to take Mitrovic? If you had 22 million to take Mitrovic, would you take him?
That's a great question. I really like Mitrovic. I don't know. I for some reason I can't decide whether I think he's ever going to work out in the Premier League. But I think he's really good. I think he could go to any other league in the world and he'd be brilliant. There's just something about him when he gets into the Premier League where he stalls a little bit. 22 million, I probably, yes. I don't think I would at the moment with West Ham, A, because we don't have any money, and B, we have like Sebastian Haller and Mikel Antonio and stuff. But I do really rate him, and I think he should be, I think he deserves a shot at a Premier League club who aren't constantly in the relegation zone.
Yeah, I think I'd go for, I think Fulham are going to win because they're at home, and it's going to be a high scoring. I'm going to go for Fulham 4, Aston Villa 3, probably the match of the weekend. So I have 2 or 3 questions before we end this. As always, I always ask any guests coming on, which fixture will have the most goals this weekend?
I can't remember my predictions now. The Liverpool-Arsenal one, potentially. I can't remember what I said for the other ones, but the Liverpool-Arsenal one I do think is going to be high scoring. I think you've got 2 teams there who are both good going forward and both potentially slightly susceptible at the back. I think if you both rock up and try to go for it, which I do think you both will, that could be high scoring. The other one was the Leeds game as well.
Yeah, Leeds. I think Leeds and Arsenal, you went for 5 goals in each, but which one do you expect more from?
Go on, let's back Leeds, shall we? Let's go for a Marcelo Bielsa madness. It'll be Leeds for me.
Another adding to their record, adding to their goals record.
Yes.
Which game will have the least amount of goals?
I said 0-0 for one of them, didn't I? Was it the Brighton game?
It was Burnley, Southampton.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was definitely that one. It's going to be that one. Yeah. No, the second you said it, I was like, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, Burnley, Southampton.
Yeah, I can see Villa 2-0. I can see Liverpool 3-1. I can see draw or win. Beat Liverpool 4 times in a row. That would be amazing. Imagine that. We've beaten them twice and then we beat them at Anfield twice. I would love that. I'd actually fancy Arsenal to win the title if we beat Liverpool. Arsenal Alex says 1-1. Okay. Hi Alex. Hi Arsenal Vlogs. RK Sweetie, Liam. Shout out to you guys. Edson, Cannon Fodder. Another question, Charlie. Which 3 players will definitely score this weekend from any team?
Raul Jimenez for Wolves. He just scores goals and he's up against a very weak defense at the moment. So I suspect Raul Jimenez from Wolves. I reckon Aubameyang I back to get a goal. I back to get a goal. I always do because I think he's just lethal. And then maybe Son from Tottenham. I think Son is the player from Tottenham. I think is just the best. I'm just like, he's too good. Like, I know people talk about Harry Kane and others. I just look at him and I think that guy is just so good. And up against a Newcastle team, they're going to be sitting deep. But if they even dare to come forward, Son in round the back, bang, goal.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask you because you haven't been in my predictions. Your top 4 for the season. Which teams do you think will finish in the top 4? Champions and the top 4.
So in order from 1st to 4th, I think it will be Liverpool, City, It's tight. I can't decide whether I think Chelsea are going to be great because Chelsea have like all of these players to get in. If it works, then Chelsea. But if I was to put my neck on the line now, Liverpool, City, Man United, Arsenal. Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'll stick with that. I'll back it. Yeah, there we go.
And bottom 3? Not West Ham, please. West Ham are now going to get relegated.
I actually don't think West Ham will get relegated. A lot of West Ham fans are scared of it, but I think we'll survive. I think we'll be like 15th or something boring and be safe 3-4 games from the end. I think Villa will go down. Fulham are definitely going down. I think Villa potentially and West Brom. It'll be. I reckon West Brom and Fulham are the definites, and then it will be between Villa and maybe Brighton. I think if they have a bad season, are going to be struggle. But they're the three I'm going to go for: Villa, Fulham, West Brom.
And West Ham, where will West Ham finish?
I reckon 15th. I think it'll be. I think we'll struggle for a long period of time at the bottom, and I think we'll be safe like 4 games before the end of the season, and it'll sort of peter out. I think it's going to be a boring season. Well, it's not going to be a boring season for West Ham. We've obviously got ownership problems like yourselves and everything else, but when it comes to actual points and results on the pitch, I think it's going to be a very dull season that ends in a sort of 15th position finish.
Last one, Leeds, top 10, struggling, 11, 12.
I don't think they'll get top 10. I love everything that's going on. It's kind of mad. I'm all about chaos. I see a bit of chaos. I'm here for it. You know, I think they'll push and they'll do well. But I can't see them getting top 10. I think they'll probably finish in the sort of 11th to 14th bracket. Because, like you say, they're gonna get some thrashings at times.
True.
But Marcelo Bielsa's the kind of guy who's just going to headstrong, keep going no matter what, and I think that'll serve them well, but not well enough to get top 10.
Yeah, Arsenal Alex, thank you for that. This show is just for like interacting with people like Charlie. Enjoy like working with different fans or just Arsenal fans, and his knowledge of football is brilliant. So it's good to like get people like him on. And where can they follow you before we end it?
You can follow me personally at atoplad, which I tweet sometimes about football, more times about dumb stuff that's going on in my head. But if you want to follow like football stuff specifically, at Hammers_chat is the West Ham channel that I'm a part of. Tom Atherton, who was on here previously, me and him do lots of videos together over there. Go check us out, and be kind when we inevitably have bad games, please.
Awesome. And for the Fantasy Premier League managers, there's the code to my league if you want to join. The direct link is in the description. I don't know if Charlie plays FPL.
I used to, and then what would happen is I'd forget after every single week. So I stopped just for my own depression's sake. But yeah.
Okay, so although you have some knowledge, so who would you captain for this week? Who will get the most points this week?
That's a good question. I do think someone from Wolves' front line is a great shout. Jimenez or Adama. Adama's so good down the wings, and we have no fullback success. And he every single time he comes up against us, he destroys us. Or Raul Jimenez, because I think he is in for goals this weekend. I really do. Our defense isn't anywhere near good enough to stop someone who scores against better teams than us. They're the guarantee ones I would put on, I think.
Awesome. So 10 more games this weekend. That was your game week 3 predictions. Thanks to Charlie for coming on. Everyone in the chat box, I appreciate it. All the links in the description. I'll be back tomorrow for a build up to Liverpool Arsenal. Thanks for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.